I would like to introduce you to somebody who's very special to me, and I know probably just as special to you. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lindsey Buckingham. I've been afraid of changing 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder. Children get older. I'm getting older too. Yes, I'm getting older too. So
before I take off, I wanted to do one more song. This is written by one of the all-time great writers, and we're going to bring a couple of people out here to help me with it, and most notably, my very great and good longtime friend, Mr. Mick Fleetwood. And Mick and I have been spending a lot of time together recently because Fleetwood Mac is working on a studio album right now. And I think one of the things that happens is you first learn how to sort of be responsible and take care of yourself, and then you can, you know, take care of others and be responsible for them too. And that's what we're doing. We're learning how to do that again.
Jesus Christ, man. Dude, show these young punks how to play. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Oh my goodness me.
What is
Was
that?
ist das?
Spirit catcher.
Spirit catcher.
Where can we put it?
Well,
Somewhere
you
where
can put it in
can
your
catch us.
area if you want, or if you wanted to sort of
Needs to be
wash
down
out
there.
over the whole area, then we're going to have
On
to
the
put it
mantle,
on the
maybe.
mantle.
On the mantle, maybe.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Am I there? I'm gonna take it from you.
Okay. It's been in my house in Phoenix, and it's such a lucky piece that I
Oh.
thought, you know. Well,
dear.
the bad news is I have had absolutely no rest.
Really?
The good news is I wrote 4 songs, and this morning we put them on a CD. So we really were trying to make these it was totally about Fleetwood Mac. It was like you guys weren't there, but you were there, in fact.
What you don't realise, Stevie, we've just spent the last 6 months trying not to be ourselves.
Really loud.
Really loud.
Okay. Write a few more songs like that and we'll make this a double album yet. So keep going, girl. Stevie Nicks, all right.
All right, Stevie.
Yes.
Really? Hi-oh! I'm looking forward to working on this.
Me too. Okay, I'm going. John, I'll see you
Bye,
Thursday?
Johnny. Yes,
Or no,
yes.
yeah,
Well
Thursday,
done.
okay.
Nice one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Oh, yes. I'm
Hey,
gonna
tell
go
Len hello.
early too.
Tell her I give her rest, but I wrote the 4 songs.
I ain't complaining.
This is a lot of fun right now for me because to be able to come back and rejoin these people and have the chemistry still be there without all the other stuff, you know, and have something new to give back to the situation from having left, it's great, you know, it's really been a lot of fun.
And this is a major thing for us because Lindsey's not been part of Fleetwood Mac as a studio player, as part of the band for I think over 15 years or something.
We did an album called Tango in the Night, which was just insane. And then they wanted to go on the road, and the road is usually about 10 times the craziness of what an album is. And I just had to sort of pull back. So, you know, I spent a lot of time in my room, so to speak, in my studio, studying, just figuring some new weird shit out.
About 5 years ago, Lindsey asked me to play on some stuff he'd been working on. A year and 3 months later, we were still in the studio.
So now it came down to this point where we were getting essentially done with this solo record, and well, I said, Lindsey, you've been inactive in, you know, the records and radio sort of community for probably 6 or 7 years at that point. You'll be putting out a solo album, and we know that you'll be getting a certain kind of exposure, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a way maybe to actually make this thing be even bigger. And he was like, well, what's that? And I said, full 7-camera reunion on a soundstage and show everybody the chemistry that still exists with this band. Everybody's going to feel the magic that's going to go on that stage. And then it launched a giant tour.
When we said goodbye after the tour, we always thought that we would get in the studio and do another album.
Stevie has been into doing this for ages.
A lot of the things that were kind of left unsaid and left unresolved between she and I when we were a couple have all sort of made their own way to being comfortable. Christine is over in England somewhere. She's not involved in this.
Yeah, Christine's been a great asset to Fleetwood Mac. She deserves, like anyone else, to do what the hell she wants, you know.
If we had thought there was any chance that she would come back, we would have waited for this to do this record.
I think it would be sad if she was here with the same mindset that she has.
There you go.
And rather wish you weren't here, babe.
Yeah.
Wish I wasn't here, and everyone else knowing that would cast a terrible pall over this.
So I called up Lindsey and said, I really need to write some new songs for this record, for my own soul. I don't want this to be all old material. So I started January 1st in Phoenix, and I wrote like a maniac.
John Mick and myself have been here for about 6 months working on her songs. And the songs of mine really are pretty much complete and have been complete for a while because they were going to be a solo album. And at the very end of this, probably when Stevie's stuff is in the can, we'll open up my songs and we'll get her singing on those, and that will complete the entire picture of what this material will be. 1, 2, 3, 4. Potential with this project is so amazing. You know, it's a time when the business itself is sort of dictated by some sort of vague, faceless Wall Street mentality, and I just, you know, it gets harder and harder to be the kind of spontaneous force that you like to be, you know, and the periphery of people that tend to sort of get involved, and sometimes too involved, you know, in the creative process. I just think if we can see through all of that and navigate that whole thing and trust each other and believe that we, you know, in many ways are probably better at our craft than we've ever been, then I think we're going to blow a lot of people's minds with this project. That's what I think.
Amen.
Well said.
And the band played on.
Yeah.
Everything's going really good, and this week is certainly an important week. That we have some business-orientated stuff that's, in truth, very important. With settling where our record company and who they're going to be and stuff like that. Not a band needs a record company at some point, I think, although sometimes I wonder.
We were going to sign to Interscope as of maybe a month ago. And then at the 11th hour, Warner's, which was the label that we had been signed to, came in with a, I shouldn't say necessarily a better offer, but a larger advance offer. Very soon, a couple of people from that company are going to come here and listen to what we have. You know, we'll wait and see how it goes. I wouldn't want to guess where we'll end up.
I don't know. I think that with those kind of people, I don't know that you can play them 5 hours of music before they start to sink into the couch.
The range of material that I have to offer certainly represents where this album could be seen in terms of style, if it's going to be a conservative album, if we're going to play it safe, if we're going to go out there and really redefine ourselves in the most credible way possible. I don't think it makes a lot of sense just to try to limit what he's hearing.
Well, I would have only said that you might want to limit it only because this is the first time we've ever met.
Well, let's see what happens. I mean, if he's coming over here wanting to hear music, and that's the basic premise,
then we should play him music. That's his job.
Don't bother me. I'm in the middle of meeting with artists, you pain in the ass.
Hi, Jeff.
How are you? How are you?
Man with the ponytail?
Yes, man with the ponytail. Tom is running late.
Oh, is Tom coming?
I didn't know he was.
That's great.
I didn't know he didn't tell me he was
either.
coming.
Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
know he was either.
fantastic.
So.
Oh, but that's great.
But he wanted us to start, and then he'll show up. I think
okay.
he's running.
What are we doing today? Are you guys listening to stuff, or are we talking?
Let
or-
everybody, yes,
Look.
all of those things. We'd like you to get comfortable with the new Warner Brothers. I know that Tom's come here, and I know that Tom really
Tom and
liked-
I got along great.
Yeah, and Tom really liked what he heard, so,
Yeah.
which is why I think we're still here.
Well, why don't we just play the 4 demos?
All right. Which is this?
Commercial?
How's
Hopefully,
that? That puts a
commercial.
smile on your face.
I
right?
prayed to the commercial gods.
We did, and the gods
commercial
delivered.
gods.
So how do you figure out what?
What makes it on the album?
Yeah. Because that's not going to be easy.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's great, really good.
Yeah, we'll figure it
Well, thank
Great.
you, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, thank you.
out. Good.
Yes.
Pleasure.
Good. Thank you for coming.
Go
Young
take a little
Tom,
rest
and,
now.
Should I refresh now?
Oh, yeah, well, no, because I worked on those demos for a whole nother
Thank you for
time,
giving us
so.
so much.
Something in you brought out something in me that I've never been since. That part of me that was only for you, that kind of romance comes only once. That kind of love, that kind of fever dance that you love because you become someone else in an instant.
Say you will, give me one more chance. At least give me time to change your mind. That always seems to heal the wounds. If I can get you to dance. La la la. The idea of this double CD has been floating around for quite a while and has been kind of sidestepped, but it's really at a point where we have to look at it squarely and figure out what we're doing. The managers, or at least 2 out of the 3 managers, are not for it, but I've kind of been put in the position of trying to, you know, maintain a sort of high level of aspiration for this thing. You know, it's self-serving too for me, but I mean, I just feel that that's an element that's going to show, you know, what we have to offer now that maybe can't be shown on just 12 songs, you know, because at first they're going to go for what they think is going to be radio or commercial songs, and then what's left is going to be marginalized.
Purely from a manager's point of view, I don't think it's the right idea. I want the band to sell as many records as possible and be as prosperous as possible, and in order to do that, I think it's best that it's a single record.
Yes, the other managers have a problem with the double album, but is the problem about the money or is it about the music?
Mick initially was an ally with that idea. In fact, I would not have involved myself in this project at all, at least with this group of songs, had I not thought Mick was going to be an ally in this. He did a 180, so that was something which he doesn't perceive as having been hurtful or even profound. And I think, you know, he sees it more like, well, you know, it's just because I forgot to call you. So I cannot say I have an ally in the band right now, no.
We've been there and done that thing, and I understand what it is artistically.
We've been
We've made a double album. I'm just fearful of, in my mind, what failure is. And failure, it's all of the above. It means, you know, you can put it in money terms, but the failure of the project in terms of that would, for me, would be an awful thing.
It would be. Look at filmmakers, you know, who, you know, who's a good example? There's so many of them. What's the guy's name? Todd, is it Solens? He's got storytelling out now. He's, you know, he's probably lives in an apartment in West Pacoima or something. You know, he's never gonna get rich off of what he's doing, but you know, he's doing exactly what he wants to do, and he's proud of it, and he's contributing to the culture of cinema in a way that, you know, Ridley Scott is not. You know, and that's where it's at.
For the listeners of listeners, there's no doubt that this body of work is absolutely sustainable, because it is, and I understand that, and I believe it, and I know it's true.
Listeners.
I'm just worried about that suffering to the extent where it never has the legs to get out there.
There was a point before I decided to do this where I would probably have been willing to put out what that was, and if the right 300,000 people heard it, that would have been all that was important. The right ears heard it. It wasn't 3 million, it was 300,000. But I hate to see this thing get chopped up into something that it's not meant to be, you know, so at least from my perspective.
Okay.
I mean, if it really came down to it, and I was feeling like
go together,
and I was feeling like all that they were going to do was pull, you know, all we were going to do was pull, you know, generally speaking, the safest things out,
Well,
and marginalize everything else. I'd be better off just, you know, taking the material that was going to be my solo album and keeping 3/4 of it for a solo album, you know. You know, and use a few of these things and put, you know, give to this project in terms of quantity or type of contribution what everyone seems to want to do, and you know, and maybe I will if we do that. You know, I mean, I own the masters.
His sitting there and saying, I don't feel threatened by if it sells, you know, 500,000 copies, that he's going to feel okay about that. I don't believe that he actually will. I think he'll be devastated. But he sits there and says, blah, 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 blah. If you get into that thing, which is appealing for certainly me to totally get into and start quoting a filmmaker who's living in a two-bedroom room. That's pretty challenging. It's like, Lindsey, would you like to do that? And the answer is no, and the only reason you can say is that he's never going to be in a two-bedroom house.
I've had this property for about 20 years, and it was like a single-story post and beam house, and oh, there we go. And so, since we've had a couple of kids, we thought we would build a bigger house here. This is going to be the studio, where hopefully maybe Fleetwood Mac will cut its next album.
We think all these people that are our age are going to just come out of the wall and say, you know, oh, I'm just going to start buying music again. And in fact, they're not laying around on the floor smoking dope thinking about what their next record they're going to buy is. They're trying to deal with delinquent children. They're trying to figure out how to pay the rent next month, or how to pay for their house, or how to put their kids through college. They are not, the first thing on their mind is not, oh my God, I have to get Billboard and see what the #1 record is. So we have to sell records to between, 10 and 27 years old. That's kind of who buys records now. So they're not going to buy a double record. They're not going to get how deep it is and how serious and how multi-layered it is, because it's music now. The music business is so fragmented, and the very quick cuts on MTV, and it's like everything is just so you don't even think. They're not going to buy 22 songs on a record from people that are in their 50s. It's just not going to happen. So personally, even if I really, really believed in a double record, would say it's not good for my band. Everybody is nervous to say anything because nobody wants to rock the boat and nobody wants to hurt Lindsey's feelings, and we love Lindsey and we want him to have everything he wants and all his dreams to come true. But this is not about art.
And I come back to Tom and I say, well, look, just again on a hypothetical, if somehow the band had become unified and said that this was what they wanted to do, would that be a deal breaker for this whole thing? And he said no.
And if it doesn't work out with them, are you still thinking about going to Interscope?
If what doesn't work out? Oh, you mean if the double CD thing?
Uh-huh.
No.
People have families. You guys, I don't, but you guys do. You all have children, brand new families, and houses that you're building.
That's why we're looking at the numbers to see what it really means. I told them, look, I'll eat, hundreds of thousands, I'll eat a fuck of a lot of money to be able to put out something like what I want to put out, at least have it included in this group of tunes. Of course it's just my opinion, but I am producing this, and I am engineering it, and I am here 6 days a week from about 10 till 7 at night, and I've got a lot invested in this. And I also, if you haven't noticed, I am so thrilled to, I don't even want to, it just made me cry, never mind. Just all of us doing this, seeing John the way he is, seeing you and me in moments the way we are able to be now, and all the sort of making up for some of the mistakes that we made before, and making things right in a different way. And if you don't think that means a fuck of a lot to me, you're wrong. But it's all hangs together. Yes, it's just my idea. It's my selfish idea. It's not selfish. It's my ambitious idea.
It's just like a river.
love to be there. All those 150 replays of the same track out.
Wow. Does it go really fast?
55.
On this line and this next line. Could be good for her.
It's a higher part, right?
Yeah, it's the high part.
Right.
They should be together. And then I took it out for the last one. So it would be the two middle lines. And the little thrown down, we can do those together, or I can do those by myself. And then I put a high falsetto harmony on the second thrown down. I mean, the answering part, the answer part.
All right.
Well, actually, this song it was written on the last Fleetwood Mac tour, on the dance tour. And it was really, in its own kind of strange way, written about my relationship with Lindsey and how the barricades of time have always gotten in our way. And, you know, at some point in your life, you start to write on these things philosophically. And so Lindsey and I are like, you know, amazed that we can actually write stuff that is about each other and was about each other and means something to us now.
And it's odd sitting here singing all this stuff about myself, you know. It's, you sort of learn to disassociate and to sort of be professional about it. But, you know, it's pretty amazing, you know, all this time later that there would still be those subjects being dealt with in a really deep manner.
That he could be good for her. That they should be together.
You say you're sorry, now you should walk away. But it's so overwhelming, you have nothing left to say. You can't sit outside his door and wait. Well, you can dedicate your pain to him.
I like the last half of that especially.
Okay.
Section in half and make it just one round.
It might not work anyway.
Well, I thought about the first verse, right? I thought if you put a couple of those things back into the tense and the person, it might, I don't know, it just might make it run, it might actually strengthen the narrative from the first to the second verse, that's all. When you say now you're going home, who are you talking about?
I'm talking to you.
But I'm saying if you put that in the third person and in the past tense, it hangs with the first verse more. A decision no one made, he was going home, you know? It's sort
Well,
of...
then you'd have to say a now, because the now you're going home is so beautiful, it flows so beautifully. So you could say now he's going home.
Or now
Or
he's
something.
okay,
But you can't change that because it's beautiful.
I'm just saying that, you know, it's sort of a rule of thumb in writing that you don't shift your tense and your person.
Well, I don't think that you could say that to Bob Dylan. Because he would say to you, I write what I want to.
Okay. I just thought it was, because it's not as abstract as what Bob Dylan would write in those situations. It's a fairly literal
But it's the way I write.
narrative thing. I
It's
just
the way
thought
I
it might
write.
help.
It's the way that it's the poet that I am. It's the way I write.
I just couldn't not bring it up because I thought it might help the whole strength of the running and the continuity. I didn't think it was a good idea not to bring it up.
Okay.
Say you will, give me one more chance at least. Give me time to change your mind. That always seems to heal the wounds if I can get you to dance. Say you will, give me one more chance at least. Give me time to change your mind. That always seems to heal the wounds if I can get you to dance.
I thought for a while there we weren't ever going to find a record label. We have a home, and we've ended up back at Reprise. I think this is the best thing because Warner's has our catalogue and a huge body of Fleetwood Mac work. So everyone's kissed and made up, and the new guys at Warner's I think are genuinely really excited about what we're doing, which is really a prime importance to us. So we're back at Reprise and we have a label. Wonders never cease.
You know, there was a major, I wouldn't say confrontation per se, but a major dialogue going on within members of the band and managers and the record company about an idea of putting out a double CD.
The double album way back with me and Lindsey, I endorsed. I thought it was artistically a spunky, great idea, and we always said, hey, if it's not there, we won't do it. And then we rode on into the sunset, and then at some point down the road, quite frankly, upon speaking with people like Carl, who I regard his opinion, said, this is a very risky thing to do. Lindsey's answer to that would be, you change your mind, how can you do that, you know? And to me it was just like, well, it's just a different angle, a different way of looking at it, and are we doing the right thing, you know? And so the happy thing is that I think the body of work will truly live and breathe as a double album. I think it's important to say that the Traitor's feeling okay about about doing this, you know.
So it's going to be a huge bargain, as far as I'm concerned, of a whole lot of music for a price that's really being kept down.
It was really just up to me to take the hit in terms of a certain amount of royalties, because you only get paid up to 12 songs. So if we were to have 20, you know, I would only get paid on maybe 2 or 3. You know, everyone was extremely surprised that I'd be willing to do that, and we're kind of in shock that anyone would be that stupid. We are also in the process of choosing who's going to mix this. There's 1 or 2, possibly 3 people that are in the running right now. Initially, you know, we were going to do a more symmetrical thing where she would take one song of hers and give it to Mark. I would take one song of mine and give it to Chris Lord-Alge, who is the guy that she wanted to use. But we're just doing the best we can to get an indication and make a decision based on some level of intelligence, you know.
So how much is this going to cost me?
I don't know. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 9 grand divided by 4, whatever that is.
That's too much.
All right. We just won't mix your bass parts in.
Boy, he's done that for years, hasn't he?
All right.
whoever mixes this
back of
record,
LA
it will be
Weekly.
a life-changing experience for them, you know?
Oh, I'll say.
Don't you think? I mean, it's like they'll never be the same. So it's a really big deal. I just wish that we, you know, had more choices.
Well, yeah, I guess. It almost seems like we have too many already in a way. I mean, if this is the process we're going to go through.
Maybe we should have your guy mix like 2 of my songs that are
Okay.
well, yeah. I mean, seriously, like 2 songs, different ones, 2 songs that are like really different. And if I like it, then we can go with your guy.
Just do that and nothing else?
And nothing else. At the end of working on one song, you know, at the most 2 songs, I'm gonna at least be able to go, well, you know what, I can deal with this guy. You know, he's fine.
Oh, you love him. Not Lester.
Gitmo.
Ah,
Not me.
Gitmo.
Hey, man.
How you doing, Les?
I'm well, man. All right. Good
Good
to see you. again.
All right.
You been good?
You good? Pretty good. You? You good? Are you done?
Yeah, we are actually.
Really?
Up to the side.
Great, man. All right. Well, what's Stevie doing?
We're here today.
Come take a listen.
So just a little tidbit. When I came in, not that long ago, an hour maybe, he played me back the mix, and it was terrific. I made a couple of little suggestions, and so now it's time for you to just like rip into it.
Here, I'll play this.
He fell for her again. She watched it happen. About just how much he never really told her. Don't About how difficult
This breakdown stuff there.
Very hooky.
The first note of that guitar, I need to get a little bit louder. That one that comes. I use that one. But yeah, that's
Very
pretty cool.
And then the way you're using the dee-dee-dee-dee, just with the together, that's a cool thing.
Yeah, I thought they worked kind of well. You know, I was trying to find places to put that, but I thought that worked pretty well just there.
That's
you know.
great. No, that's perfect. Well, that was good. The song could go home and everyone could come back feeling differently about it, I suppose. But I feel like he just instinctively did a very interesting thing. That bodes very well, I would say. And it doesn't sound like all these other guys. I'm totally psyched.
It's like, I don't think it's bad. At all. I don't think it's bad. I think there's a lot of parts about it that are really good. I said to Lindsey, it just doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy, you know? It doesn't, you know, like, I love my songs, you know? I love all the little words and the little, you know, I do. I admit it, you know? And it's like, when my words coming back to me don't make me feel like I felt when I was sitting at the piano by myself, singing those words to nobody, then I don't care about the song anymore. I just think maybe, what we already said, maybe we need something to compare to so that we can understand.
Anyway, let's go through the thing with Chris and see what happens.
Okay.
There's no harm in doing that. Because Chris is so in demand and because he is so busy all the time, his thing is, you know, I come in at noon, I've got the song up and mixed by 4, and what's the next, you know? I think in this case, this is a decision that's really up to Stevie. I can say something about it to her, but it's really up to her about whether she wants to go the full distance with Chris on her songs. And my feeling is that she will want to. It's just gotten...
This has been going on all week long, last week, all week
What's
long.
been going on?
They just wanted the deal memo to be signed all last week. They started trying to do this last Monday.
It's true.
I understand, but they had things. They wanted things from me that I couldn't give them. Like, well, what are the 20 tracks that are going to be on this? I'm not even sure I'm going to use Chris. What are the 10 tracks of yours that we're going to be mixing? I'm not going to tell them that because I don't know.
Nobody's saying it's anybody's fault, but if it happened, it happened. If we lost the day, we lost the day.
But Stevie's attorneys have not been involved in this until today, Lindsey, because it's the producers.
Yes, but I can't give you the finer points. All I know is that they've been asking for things from me that I was not prepared to give, nor should they have been asking for them. It's not relevant to what we're doing at this point.
Well, I mean, on one hand...
This is not about the whole album yet. This is about me giving them one of...
Okay, well, but it does look like it is about I Lost Tomorrow to Mix Monica. So it's totally about me now. I don't know what to do about this, but maybe you should go and call Chris Lord-Alge and see if there's any, or has tomorrow already been booked?
Well, why don't you call Tony and have that conversation with him, and then you and Tony can figure out what to do to get tomorrow back. Okay? You know Tony's number?
Yes.
Here, I'll dial it right now. What did I just do with the phone? There it is. All right. Hi, it's Lindsey. Is Tony around? Hello. Okay. Well, the people over here are pointing fingers at us. So
we are not, Lindsey. Why are you saying that?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I was just trying to say it's nobody's fault. And Karen is telling me that your lawyers only got involved today, with the implication of which is that my people fucked up.
Dead honest, you know that. Drop dead honest. Karen is drop dead honest, you know that.
I'm telling you what Karen's telling me it's your guy's fault. That is what she is saying.
But when you pick it up with Tony now, and then you do the same thing she just did.
Well, I'm letting the two people who are pointing fingers sort it out for themselves. What do you...
Let them find it out.
But you know, God, why shouldn't this be a little bit hard? It's all fear and suppression of instinct and suppression of impulse and spontaneity, you know. I'm not saying that part of it isn't because I feel I have a lot to offer and I should feel good about it. And, you know, any shrink would tell you that's a good thing. If you can do something help a group of people and do something good for a situation and help yourself, that's where it's at, you know. I don't feel bad about that. But, you know, we're going to put out something that is extraordinary. You know, Howard came back with some incredible numbers for us for our tour, you know. We're going to have a hell of a 4 or 5 year run here, you know, but we can't just sort of do it by saying, hey, everything's cool or whatever. You know?
I completely agree.
And that's one reason it's hard, as far as I'm concerned, you know. It's hard. If I'm the one who's going to be perceived as the troublemaker, so be it. Why should it be any different now?
Okay. Oh, it's on stand and everything. That's so great. All right, now we're going to inject some humor into the recording of this record. That's funny, right? Hopefully, all we can do is work out our differences. You know, it's like I'm not mad at Lindsey today. I don't think he's mad at me today. We're okay. Hopefully, we don't have that final fight that is so bad that we can't walk back in his house. No matter what happens, if Lindsey and I blow up into a massive, you know, exploding timbers, the fact is the record will be done. And then if we're dead, people at least have the record to enjoy, and the music will live on, and that's, you know, really, I guess, what's most important.
Sure enough, they sent to Grandpa. I felt bad for him, so I started lugging all the stuff down, sweating buckets, trying to get the seats put in.
Welcome,
yeah,
Lindsey.
That's it. It's not me.
How you doing, man?
So I drew it out.
She's done it 8,000 times.
might be a little too skeletal, but
We do
it's
want
a nice idea.
It's
No, but
not,
I don't know. Is
it's
it?
not so radical
Well,
that it doesn't work.
Well,
It's
but
just-
how do we make that idea better? Because
Let's get right off the bat.
How do we make
How
that
do we
idea
make that
better?
idea more refined?
Yes.
You take it out like you did for the first half, and then bring it in like at a lower level for the second half, and then in or something like that.
Well, it just seems like let it
But maybe
match
it
the
shouldn't
drum.
be on the. Maybe if you're going to do that, maybe on the intro on the maybe it should be kind of more down for the intro, because it almost sounds like there it's real loud and then it just drops out, and that sounds like John just fell off the stage or something.
We're on an excitement vacation today. Have the whole band here tomorrow, so it could be a recap of last week with Chris, Lord Algie. I think they need to discuss everyone's individual opinions on the mix, and if we're going to pursue any more mixes with Chris.
Lindsey, this is what I think. This record is going to take 2 to 3 months to mix, and Chris Lord Algie doesn't have that kind of time, so we should just go back to using Mark Needham, I think.
Her comfort level was to try to get this thing done with Chris. So we went in, you know, we did one song of hers with Mark, and that had sort of unclear results, I would say. And then we did 4 or 5 days with Chris on Stevie's songs, and one of my songs. It seems to have come out the other end, really, that he's not the guy, and so I think we're going to start up again with Mark.
It was I who was hourglass, sands of time like shattering glass went past me, like a tunnel to the sea. And I who went to sleep as two, woke up as one now, only you remain. You'll close your eyes and travel back to the time when the light went fading fast, and the words you'll never, never forget, oh no. As you slipped away, goodbye, baby. Hope your heart's not broken. Don't forget me. Yes, I was outspoken. You were with me all the time. I'll be with you one day. Goodbye, baby. I hope your heart's not broken. Don't forget me. Yes, I was outspoken. I was with you all the time. I'll be with you one day. Yes, I'll be with you one day. One day.
I think this is the best songs that she's written in a long, long time. In fact, since the first couple of albums we did with Stevie and Lindsey, and that's pretty scary. And she got, I think she may have made mention of it, she realized that Lindsey was pushing. And when she came back at Christmas, there was a reason she brought those songs in, because she knew that she wanted to be part of this in a way that was fresh and meaningful to her. Not that anything she does isn't meaningful, but as a writer, invariably, when they feel good about something they've just written, that's the shit, you know. And she has that feeling now.
As a very final thing, we will finally put up some of my songs and get Stevie's presence on some of those. And that will be it. Then we will be officially done with this house. Is it 16?
It is 16.
All right, there.
Okay, now, what do you think? Am I just...
I like it. Don't think about it. We'll do as many tracks as you want until you get tired, and then we'll make something wonderful out of it later.
Steal your heart away. What's the world coming to? What's the world coming to? Everyone's gone to the moon. What's the world coming to? What's the world coming to? Sorry. What's the world? I forgot we were at the end there. Miranda's taking the stars down, a little something to call her own. But the lion still rules Miranda, and Miranda's always alone.
It's the right harmony part?
It is the right harmony part. I'm waiting. So you're gonna start with that, right? Or are you gonna do the lower one? Just whatever comes out?
I am waiting.
I'm waiting. Oh yeah. Oh.
Maybe I can figure out something cool for oh yeah, yeah.
You don't have to sing the oh yeahs.
Okay.
Okay, that's right.
I am waiting. I am waiting.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Waiting for someone to come out of somewhere. Waiting for someone to come out of somewhere. You can't hold out. You can't hold out.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You can't hold out. You can't hold out.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You know, I'm not privy to where the writers want the songs to go. I do my bass parts as far as I can see the picture, and after that then it's back in the writer's court, and after that it's a repeat, and that's where I get
Bored.
completely bored, because I'm not privy to their concept. So I'd rather be anywhere else but sitting in the same room, bless their hearts. It's not personal, it's business. Listening to the same bloody thing going over and over 200,000 times a day.
John, you've been brutal on yourself.
No, and I can't see it. It drives me to distraction unless
You're working.
I'm playing. And it's always been that way. I wish it could be more. I wish I could be more of a input into the product, but I can't see into people's heads.
I want to say something.
You've said enough. Jesus Christ.
No, well,
you should be in a Senate.
You've been more present on this project.
On.
You've been more present on this project than any other
Well, I was
project.
just going to say that. That was my wind-up bit.
Good.
Christ almighty.
You're so hard on yourself.
Anyway, I was gonna... That was the end of it. Thanks, Mick.
Once again she steals away, and she reaches out to kiss me. And how she takes my breath away, pretending that she don't miss me.
You get the cover deal?
I think we did get the cover. Fingers crossed. Please.
You ready? Yep. Okay, dog. 1, 2, 3.
This is it. We're just cleaned out. It's basically an empty room with a lot of stories to tell. But I think it's been a great success. And onward and upward.
Well, the album is finally done, and it's called Say You Will. It was a double CD. It is now a single album.
in the last, the 11th hour, so to speak, there was a really strong difference of opinion about the running order, which led to, I would say, really an aggressive fight about what was going to be real and what was going to be there and kept, which really led to a rethinking of some things, you know, somewhat sadly at that point, about the fact that we were looking at a tour that maybe was going to be really cut back, and indeed all of the joy of looking forward to ever making another album had pretty much gone out the window.
The only reason that I was willing to eat the kind of money that would have made it, eat the kind of money that would have made the double album possible in terms of bringing the price down, I had to contemplate a scenario which would have been to do much more touring, to do another album, and to do more touring after that. Now, if there's any chance even that Stevie were to have pulled out after 40 dates, I couldn't take the chance and do that because, you know, I've got a family, I have a new house to pay for. So it was really my call to pull it back into being a single album.
Not the irony, but the really positive part about it, had Lindsey not pushed for a double album all that time ago and seen the vision of a double album, we wouldn't have 18 tracks.
On the road, every night is different. Every song, even though it's the same song, it's different every night, and you get that feedback, and there's that link between the band members and the audience, and it's that instant spark. That's the whole deal. That's the real deal. We're the most together we've ever been, I think. Let's get it on.
Everybody. My blues. I'm slipping into my blues self.
Okay, we'll just start, right? Who's singing what in the chorus? No, chorus does that mean? I know verse, but...
World turning. I gotta get my feet back on the ground.
Is there something we would all do in the chorus? Let's do that. I'm gonna be tired by then. I'm just gonna be going...
pull some lead vocals now and then and just sort of. I was thinking about this for Come, you know, keep it in the original key and then it goes up to and everybody else is just having Mike T and everybody else is doing it.
Can you drop that down drop it down to the low harmony of that, which still won't even be low?
Well, I'll figure something out. But we just haven't had a chance to rehearse lately.
Right. Well, if we could finish this, we could start the set now.
Are we going to have any rehearsal time tomorrow?
I think we ought to go through the set tonight. I do. I'm sorry that I know that everything, that you're moving into your new house and that all this is happening, and no matter what we're doing, we're going to have to start being a little bit more organized, because otherwise we're not going to get through this set very many more times.
Well, I need a rest. And I can't stay here till 10 o'clock or 9:30 tonight. I just can't.
All right, then let's just keep going. Let's do half of the set and then we'll call it. Let's get to
When you leave for New
Big
York,
Love and Landslide. Let's get there.
I'll try to sing the
We're
first
all
verse.
going to try to do some kind of a harmony on the. Remember, the world turning. Everybody's got me down.
Everybody's trying to say I'm wrong. I just want to be back where I belong. World turning. I gotta get my feet back on the ground. World turning. Everybody's got me down.
It's going well, I mean, we only have like 9 more days. We leave the 4th of May, so we're on our way. I mean, this is it. This is the final countdown. So it's great. I mean, I think that we're ready to go now. If we get out there and we're just having a great time, then for goodness sake, we could go on forever doing this. Who knows? Let's just say a prayer and hope that it just goes on forever.
How are you feeling? Like God?
Like God.
That's what we want. I'll be right back. I gotta get some.
Have a good time. Okay.
Johnny?
Well, Johnny? Eyes down? For a full house. Or thereabouts.
We ready?
Yes. Okay, where's Lindsey?
Johnny.
Not yet.
Love you. You know where I stand. I know where you stand. That's why I love you.
When I fucking look at you and
You
smile,
fucking look at me back. Maybe, maybe.
fucking right.
All right, this is us.
Open here. You guys?
Thanks, it was a great show.
Back us up, Carlos.
Here we
Great.
go. Here
Back
we
us
go.
up.
Over
Back us
there,
up.
baby. Don't worry.
We got our back.
We got you covered. We got you back.
We're all set? Here we go.
I can get you to dance.
Goodness me.
What is
Was
that?
das?
Spirit catcher.
Spirit catcher.
Where can we put it?
Well,
Somewhere
you
where
can put it in
catch
your
us.
area if you want, or if you wanted to sort of
Needs to be
wash out
down there.
over the whole area, then we're going to have
On the
to put it
mantle,
on the
maybe.
mantle.
On the mantle, maybe.
All right,
Okay.
let's do.
How my dear? I'm going to take it from you.
Okay. It's been in my house in Phoenix, and it's such a lucky piece that I
Oh.
thought, you know. Well,
Here.
the bad news is I have had absolutely no rest.
Really?
The good news is I wrote 4 songs, and this morning we put them on a CD. So we really were trying to make these it was totally about Fleetwood Mac. It was like you guys weren't there, but you were there, in fact.
What you don't realise, Stevie, we've just spent the last 6 months trying not to be ourselves.
Really loud.
Really loud.
Okay. And I just had to sort of pull back. So, you know, I spent a lot of time in my room, so to speak, in my studio, studying, just figuring some new weird shit out.
About 5 years ago, Lindsey asked me to play on some stuff he'd been working on. A year and 3 months later, we were still in the studio.
So now it came down to this point where we were getting essentially done with this solo record, and well, I said, Lindsey, you've been inactive in, you know, the records and radio sort of community for probably 6 or 7 years at that point. You'll be putting out a solo album, and we know that you'll be getting a certain kind of exposure, etc., etc. But there's a way maybe to actually make this thing be even bigger. And he was like, well, what's that? And I said, full 7-camera reunion on a soundstage and show everybody the chemistry that still exists with this band. Everybody's going to feel the magic that's going to go on that stage. And then it launched a giant tour.
When we said goodbye after the tour, we always thought that we would get in the studio and do another album.
Stevie has been into doing this for ages.
A lot of the things that were kind of left unsaid and left unresolved between she and I when we were a couple have all sort of made their own way to being comfortable. Christine is over in England somewhere. She's not involved in this.
Yeah, Christine's been a great asset to Fleetwood Mac. And she deserves, like anyone else, to do what the hell she wants, you know.
If we had thought there was any chance that she would come back, we would have waited for this to do this record.
I think it would be sad if she was here with the same mindset that she has.
There you go.
And rather wish you weren't here, babe.
Yeah.
Wish I wasn't here, and everyone else knowing that would cast a terrible pall over.
And Mick and I have been spending a lot of time together recently because Fleetwood Mac is working on a studio album right now. And I think one of the things that happens is you first learn how to sort of be responsible and take care of yourself, and then you can, you know, take care of others and be responsible for them too. And that's what we're doing. We're learning how to do that again.
Yes, man. Show these young punks how to play. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
I would like to introduce you to somebody who's very special to me, and I know probably just as special to you. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lindsey Buckingham. I've been afraid of changing 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder. Children get older. I'm getting older too. Yes, I'm getting older too. So
Before I take off, I wanted to do one more song. This is written by one of the all-time great writers, and we're going to bring a couple of people out here to help me with it, and most notably, my very great and good longtime friend, Mr. Mick Fleetwood.
Something in me that I've never been since. That part of me that was on.
So this is Silver Girl. She's about show.
That'll be good. Obviously we need to
And it's so brand new that it's totally, whatever.
I like what he did. He did some parts I could just...
She was a silver girl, lost in a high-tech world. She was a golden girl, immersed in a hardcore world. She was.
Well, you write a few more songs like that and we'll make this a double album yet. So keep going, girl. Stevie Nicks, all right.
All right, Stevie.
Yes.
Really? Hi-oh! I'm looking forward to working on this.
Me too. Okay, I'm going. John, I'll see you
Bye,
Thursday.
Johnny. Yes,
Or no,
yes.
yeah,
Well
Thursday.
done.
Okay.
Nice one.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Oh, yes. I'm
Hey,
gonna go
tell Len hello.
early too.
Tell her I couldn't rest, but I wrote the 4 songs.
I ain't complaining.
This is a lot of fun right now for me because to be able to come back and rejoin these people and have the chemistry still be there without all the other stuff, and have something new to give back to the situation from having left, it's great, it's really been a lot of fun.
And this is a major thing for us because Lindsey's not been part of Fleetwood Mac as a studio player, as part of the band for I think over 15 years or something.
We did an album called Tango in the Night, which was just insane. And then they wanted to go on the road, and the road is usually about 10 times the craziness of what an album is.